Looking to find out what's happening on the NDSU campus? Watch Bison Information Network News every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on Cable 1 Channel 70. This student-run weekly newscast covers relevant news and current events, entertainment, Bison sports, and more. Watch BIN News Fridays at 9 p.m., Saturdays at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m., and Sundays at 9 a.m. on Cable 1 Channel 70.
Bison Information Network News is brought to you in partnership with Cable 1.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of X's and O's. I'm Jay Lennander.
And I'm Eric Bunnell.
And the NDSU football team played again at the South Dakota against the South Dakota Coyotes in another road game for the NDSU Bison, and they came away victorious again, Eric. What did you see in this game that really just stood out to you? Just another game for the NDSU Bison.
Yeah, it was just another game, but I saw players that we don't see step up. Christian Watson, did you see? I mean, his catch was just phenomenal, and I feel like we're going to see more of that. He kind of reminds me of like R.J. Erzendowski, just being able to go up there, stick his hands out there, and get the ball. I mean, he's just that good a wide receiver, and he's only a redshirt freshman. So we have 3 more years of him after this year. I saw Easton Stick do Easton Stick things. That guy just tears apart defenses. And Darius Shepard, he just does what he does. But, I mean, he didn't have his biggest game statistically, but the Bison didn't need him to.
Yeah, we saw a lot of people sort of just continue to stand out. Darius Shepard's having a great year, and I would say Easton Stick as well. And really, this win was just another per-the-course game. One of the big things that we addressed last week that sort of came up for the Bison team this year was injuries, as like we were talking about before the broadcast started, that both of the Jalens went down. Jalen Wimbush went out a little earlier, don't know his status, but shouldn't be as severe as potentially what happened to Jalen Allison, a big part of this Bison defense. The lead cornerback for the Bison, Jalen Allison, went down. Do you see this as sort of a trend? Do you think more people are going to get injured? Because this is a game that Jalen Allison went down once the Bison had already kind of secured the victory. And because they don't really, I mean, it's tradition to just kind of keep the players going. Mm-hmm. But it just, as you see it quite often in football, just injuries happen. They just come out of nowhere. Do you see this kind of continuing to be a trend for the Bison, that they'll have to deal with this more?
I don't think so. I mean, they keep their players relatively healthy, and if you look at the next 3 games, I don't see the starters playing a whole lot into the second half. I think you're going to pull the starters in the first. You might even start in the first half if you get a big enough lead, but for sure in the second half, you're going to see them start to kind of trickle out one by one, because you never know when an injury is going to, like a freak injury is going to happen. You also don't want to leave them in there too long to where it gets hurt. Jalen Wimbush's injury was a little knee injury, non-contact. So that kind of first thought when I was watching the game, it kind of scared me a little bit, because I was like, is he going to be able to play? Is it ACL? Because it was non-contact. But then after they showed the replay, they show somebody rolling up on, hitting his helmet to a knee. So it didn't look. So that made me feel a little better, but still scared about like a torn ACL or something like that, because he's probably our best cornerback that we have. But yeah, I just don't think the Bison are going to have to deal with these injuries anymore. I think it's just a one-time thing, and knock on wood, nobody else goes down, because the Bison, I mean, they're built for depth, but I don't think they can afford more injuries.
Yeah, it really has been the next man up mentality. I think they're in a better situation this year than they were last year, because you would see players go down. Like Tangway obviously went down. In the years past, just generally speaking, they're better off this year than they have been in the years past. We've seen big players during sort of this stretch, and even beforehand, players going down. But right now, most players are pretty healthy, especially the big, important ones. Easton Stick's been pretty healthy all year, hasn't shown any sign of wearing down. Darius Shepard, obviously, he just keeps getting better in every aspect of the game that he's important in, and he's been healthy and out on the field. And you're right. I don't think we really can say that it's going to be a big concern for them, especially because they've got such a strong next man up mentality, like when we saw Board come in for DeLuca and whatnot. We've seen this happen before. And I think that the cornerback situation, they're a little bit shallow, which is the big reason why it's concerning, is because compared to other positions, they've got backups who aren't as experienced as, say, like safety, where you got Hendricks and Grimsley, but then you also got Wimbush and you've got players who have played a lot. Cornerback, you've got sort of people who are just kind of still working in, still sort of running at a position where that's not necessarily like a good thing to have these unexperienced players.
Well, you still have James Hendricks back there, and I know he plays a safety, but he can slide over to the corner. Jabril Cox can slide over to cornerback. He's a hybrid linebacker / cornerback. He can play both. I mean, he probably could go play running back if he really wanted to. He's that talented. But the player that they have coming in, Josh Hayes, he did play last year in the national championship game and helped them. So that's kind of a relief for Coach Kleiman. It's bad that it's not good that one of your best cornerbacks is hurt, but knowing that you have that guy that came in last year in the national championship game, played in the national semis, played on that big stage, and knows how to win and knows what it feels like to play in these games, I think they're going to be okay at cornerback. And 3 weeks, and NDSU is probably going to get a bye. This week they have a chance to clinch at least a share of the Missouri Valley Conference. After they win, they go to Missouri State, and I think they're going to handle these last 3 teams. And I know Youngstown's always played them close, but NDSU's won the last 6 out of this series. But I just think it's not going to matter these last 3 games. Let him get healthy, give him a month to kind of recover, then go into the playoffs fully healthy and ready to make another run at that national championship.
Yeah, and then that's sort of what I was going to move forward to next is sort of what's coming up next. Obviously, the Missouri State game, I think Missouri State's been playing a little better than in years past, and the option style that they run, obviously something that the Bison have struggled with in years past, but I really do think that now they've got a really smooth path to, like you said, getting that bye and really having an easy run of it. And you look at the Youngstown State game, like you said, they typically play them close, but it is in the Fargo Dome. It's the Harvest Bowl game, and I mean, barring injury, I don't think NDSU has a problem with it.
I don't think NDSU is going to have a problem the rest of the way.
Yeah, me too.
I think the game that's going to give them a problem is the semifinals. If it's somebody good. Mm-hmm. I mean, the way the brackets are projecting, James Madison's supposed to be the 4. Mm-hmm. So I could see them giving him fits, but other than that, I don't see a problem until the semifinals. Granted, now I say that, they'll probably run into the problems after the bye. Yeah. And that we hope that's not the case, and we hope they are able to kind of steamroll and keep going to the national championship game because every Bison fan loves to go down to Frisco, and that's the time of their life. I mean, it's warm. It was 70 degrees last year. I was sitting down there. You could have walked outside in shorts, and you would have been happy. But I just don't see a team the South Dakota State game was the closest game they had all year. And I still think every other team that they've played, it's been by 10, 15 plus.
Yeah. And I do think that that's what the continuation is going to be. But going back to the point with the semifinal, even then, I think they're just going to go to Frisco again. Because last year, Sam Houston State, not exactly a team we're familiar with, a high-powered offense. Some players that are playing in the NFL right now. And we handled them so easily. The Bison team just rolled over them.
That Bison team last year was, we're not going to lose. It's our national championship to lose. We want our throne back, and we're going to do whatever it takes to get there. Yeah. And they proved that last year. That national championship game could have been 34-3, yet it was 17-13.
Yeah.
There was some missed opportunities that they had. Granted, it's a physical game. The defense kind of got gashed. JMU figured them out. But I just don't know how anybody touches NDSU this year. I don't see it. I think they run the table. Easton Stick becomes the winningest quarterback in FCS history, takes it away from Brock Jensen, breaks a whole bunch of more records, and I just don't know who's going to beat them.
And, of course, we say that now, and you never know.
You're going to see that team that's going to come up. It's going to be a surprise team that's going to come up and give them a run for their money, and they're going to be. It's going to put a scare into them.
I think I agree with that. I think there is going to be a game that is closer than we think it is, but it's just so hard to think that anyone's going to touch them. Because the last time they lost a big game that took them out of it was James Madison here. And the reason that happened was because there were so many injuries and they just couldn't keep up.
But they were down by I think it was 17-0. They came back and tied it.
Yeah.
So they had an opportunity to win.
They had an opportunity, but because the reason they were down 17-0 to begin with is because there were some important players in leadership positions that were injured, and it was a whole big mess. But that's not the case this year. It would take an absolute catastrophe to end up in that situation this year. Yeah, and man, I agree with the sentiment that it's so hard to look at this Bison team, to watch them play any of these teams and be like, yeah, they're not going to do it. They're so good this year, and the fact that James Madison's kind of taken a step back, it's even just better news for the Bison, because if their confidence is shattered, especially from losing the national championship last year, along with everything that's happened to them this year, they're the only team that the Bison can really look at and call an equal over the past couple years, and if they're out of the picture.
I've been saying it for weeks, and I'm going to say it again. It's NDSU and everybody else. I'm taking – if you give me NDSU or the field, I'm taking NDSU.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no question. They've just got such a rock-solid team this year. So many seniors that are just playing so well. You've got Easton Stick at quarterback. You got Lance Dunn and Bruce Anderson and Darius Shepard. You've got all of these players playing so well. And it's just a perfect balance. Their defense and their offense, everything's working in perfect chemistry. This is just a fantastic team, and it's a great time to watch Bison football.
It is a great time, and people who don't get a chance to go to the games or you're sitting at home watching them, wishing you could be there. I'm sure there's always room at the Fargo Dome. They're always selling tickets because students don't take their tickets because students even got some taken away from them.
Yeah.
And it's still not full. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's because, and this could be because the Bison are winning.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, what are we gonna do? Leave at halftime like we always do? I mean,
I don't think they'll have this problem for the playoffs though. I just don't.
They did have it one. It was it wasn't Cal Poly. It was Wofford. When they came into the Dome for this quarterfinals, that they had that problem of they didn't really sell out the Dome because they knew the Bison were going to win. But the semifinals, the place was sold out. Yeah. Standing room only. I mean, I'm sure you could have bought some standing room tickets, but that place was rocking. And I think it was 103 decibels it got up to. It was pretty loud in there.
Yeah, but I definitely think the atmosphere is going to be as rowdy as at any other point coming up in the playoffs. And I really do think it's going to be a good year for Bison football going the rest of the way through. But sticking with NDSU athletics, quickly before we go to break, let's talk about the NDSU basketball team. NDSU basketball activities starting up this week with the women's and men's team. I believe they're both playing a preseason game.
Yep, the women are playing tomorrow against Minnesota Duluth, and the men are playing on Thursday night at 7 p.m., I want to say. And they're hosting Concordia before they tip off their season November 6th at New Mexico State.
Yeah, but I'm sure we'll talk a lot about these two teams moving forward. But quickly, let's just talk about the men's basketball team and what's going on there. What are just some of your quick impressions for people to look at going into this season for them?
This team is going to get out and run. If Richmond lets them, they're going to run. They have the depth. I think they can go to about 12 deep this year. I know they just had a transfer, Jordan Horn. He got his waiver cleared, so he's able to play this year. Vinny Shaid, he's going to do something good. They're all three-point shooters. They're loaded with three-point shooters. Jared Samuelson, who's a school record holder for 9 made threes in a game, taking it from Alexander. I can't think of his first name for some reason. But, yeah, I think the men are just – it's going to be scary to watch this men's team because Horn competed – he played at Siena. He dropped 8 triples against Memphis last year. Memphis was a pretty good team, pretty good basketball team. I think the men, I want to say it's 17 or 18 wins.
Yep, and don't forget about my dinger, the big 7-footer. He had his redshirt year last year. You could see him coming into the center.
Oh, George, he tore his ACL. I think.
Did he again?
one of the big tall guys tore his ACL because I have class with him and he tore his ACL. And
Interesting.
Well, it's kind of a bummer.
You never know, but we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about everything that's going on in the NFL. Stay with us. Did he? That sucks.
Conveniently located across the street from NDSU's campus, Herd and Horns is the place to go, whether you're looking for a fantastic meal or just a quick bite to eat.
Hi, welcome to Herd and Horns. Are you from the drink right away?
With friendly staff and excellent service, it's a restaurant for all ages. Herd & Horns, your home for great food and Bison sports. Welcome to Bison Block. If you are an NDSU student, you know it well. It's located right across the street from campus. How would you like to live in the same building as Starbucks, Jimmy John's, and Herd & Horns? Bison Block offers high-quality apartments at a very affordable price. For more information, go to our website at bisonblockfargo.com to apply today.
Back to X's and O's, we're now going to be talking about the National Football League. Everything that's been going on lately, it's just the middle of the season pretty much at this point.
It's the middle of the season, 8 games in. A lot of teams are starting to go on their bye. There's only 13 games this coming week. But last week there was a lot of chaos going on.
Yeah.
And I want to start with, let's talk about Adam Thielen, because that guy is having a heck of a career, and he just signed an extension he just signed a new contract in the offseason. 8 straight games for 100 yards. 8 straight games with 100 yards. Yeah. And he's meant a lot to that Vikings offense.
Oh yeah, it's history. He tied Calvin Johnson for most consecutive 100-yard games as a receiver. Obviously, now broke the record for 100-yard games to start a season. So he's now got an NFL record. He has been so important to this Vikings team. It's really incredible to watch him play, and I mean, this story has been talked about to death at this point, so we're not going to go into that, but this Bison offense depends on him so much. It was that way last year, but more balance between him and Diggs. This year, it's been all about the Cousins-Thielen connection. Yeah. It's all like the perfect example of it is on the first Vikings drive last night in their loss against the Saints. Was that it was 3rd down, things were looking a little bit dicey. Then Thielen reaches around the helmet of P.J. Williams and grabs the football, takes it down for a 1st down. It's stuff like that. Whenever they're in trouble, they just go in Thielen or Diggs' direction, most of the time Thielen this year, and they just get him out of it. It has been absolutely incredible to watch. He's such a different player from Randy Moss, but he's starting to break some of his records. And it's just baffling to watch him play, because I know from an outside perspective, Adam Thielen, it's just like, oh, I don't get what's so special about him. Why is he getting all these yards? But when you watch him for a full game and you're like, you see all the stuff he does, how open he gets, he's just his fundamentals to his core as a wide receiver are just impeccable. And he's just now connecting with Kirk Cousins. It's just bringing all of that out, and it's just been an absolute wonder to watch.
And as a Packer fan, I'm totally watching Adam Thielen. It's like he's a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, in terms of numbers, he's number 1 right now.
Yeah, in terms of numbers, but overall value, top 5 for sure. I mean, without him, I don't think personally, I don't think the Vikings are that good.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, we can start this whole conversation.
I don't think their record is I don't think their record is as good. That offense may be still trying to click, but Thielen kind of reminds me of an NDSU player in Darius Shepard, just kind of coming out of nowhere, playing. I know Thielen went to D2, Shepard's D1. I mean, little higher than D1 FCS, little higher, but both these players are blue blood players. I mean, Thielen's doing what he's doing, and Shepard's doing what he's doing.
And I think with Thielen, there is a certain amount of the fact that he's got Stephon Diggs on the other side of the thing. It's the combination of the two and in pairing with Kirk Cousins now at quarterback, that's really made the whole situation flourish, because Kirk Cousins and Thielen, they've just instantly connected. That's really what's brought this all out.
And I feel like and Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth alluded to it last night in the broadcast is they moved Diggs back to the outside. They moved Thielen back inside to the slot. That's really helped him because now he's getting the matchups. He's being favored in the matchups with the top, because he's not getting the top cornerback where Diggs now is. Now I think you're going to start to see teams put their top cornerback on him and have him shadow wherever they go.
Yeah, and because people do have to adjust to it. And the reason I think it's important, and we'll bring it back to what you were talking about before, is that this Vikings offense is very much centered around Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. It is a passing-heavy offense now because Latavius Murray, he's good, but he can't do it by himself. And that's been a problem that, lost Norv Turner his job, is that he couldn't figure out how to balance the run and the passing attack. But this year, the passing attack is so important. They cannot do, and if you can shut it down like Buffalo did, like all the games we've seen the Vikings not play well, it's been because they've shut the passing attack down. If you can, the Bison can't do. The Vikings can't do anything on offense. I got a certain mindset here. But looking at the Vikings as a whole, past Adam Thielen, who's having a wonderful season, and no matter what the Vikings end up doing this season, Adam Thielen is putting himself in the record books. He's playing incredibly. But the team as a whole, to me, as a Vikings fan, is not really bound for anything amazing this year. When we've seen them be good, it's not when they need to be. It's because they've been given a team that isn't fantastic. But when you look at the games that they needed to win, they are 1-2-1. Well, now 1-3-1, because they have not performed in the games that they needed to perform in. The Rams, the Saints, the Packers, these are the three teams that are going to be in contention against them. They have not been able to beat them. The only game that they performed, they exceeded expectations and they beat a team that they needed to beat, was the Eagles game, which is one that, the Eagles have had a little bit of a down spell this year.
Do you feel like that game was more of like a revenge factor because they got beat so bad in the NFC Championship game that kind of played a mind to it? I know
it's possible.
The quarterbacks are different, but the majority of the players are still the same. So that's why I think revenge kind of played a factor when they went into Philly. They wanted to be like, okay, we're not going to lose this game. We're going to come out here and beat you. But I want to go back to your comment of balancing the run and pass and how it cost Norv Turner his job.
Yep.
Another NFL coach that's on the hot seat, Mike McCarthy. Why are you not giving Aaron Jones the football? That dude carved and sliced up the Rams defense yesterday.
Yeah,
12 carries, 86 yards, and a touchdown. Why? Why?
It's hard to say. And the thing with McCarthy is that, he's kind of stuck around just because they did win that Super Bowl. And so it's like, okay, because of that, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt as an organization. But I definitely have the sense that his time is running thin because they did replace the general manager. And the next step in that process is getting rid of the manager.
Replacing the head coach because the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator are gelling pretty well, and Aaron Rodgers proved that he can gel with Philbin. And Mike McCarthy had a self-scout, and last week, or during their bye week, which was last week, they had a self-scout so that offense evaluates the defense evaluates the offense, and the defense came back and said, run the ball more. You can't keep relying on Aaron Rodgers. Granted, people are blaming Ty Montgomery for the loss yesterday. Yes, Ty made the split-second decision to come out of the end zone. That's not his fault that they lost. You have to look at the play on the goal line that gave up the safety. That was an 8-point swing. Why are you running the football on the 1-yard line? You have Aaron Rodgers in the shotgun. Put Rodgers in the shotgun. Let him get 3 yards. Do a halfback draw. they're going to come with pressure, so it's going to leave somebody open. Mm-hmm. Give it to your receivers. Let them make plays.
All right, for just a moment, let's zoom out a little bit. Looking at the NFC North as a whole, it's a tight race.
It is.
With the only team winning yesterday being the Bears. Every conference game is going to be so important there.
Every game.
Yeah, every game. What do you think is going to happen? Who do you think is going to win? These are two questions. Who do you think is going to win the division? And do you think there's a wild card team from the NFC North?
I do think there's a wild card team out of the NFC North. I think the NFC...
See, it's tough, isn't it?
It's tough because the NFC East is performing so well. Mm-hmm. The South is performing so well.
As it always does.
The West is performing well.
At least at the top half.
I mean, the Rams are ahead leaps and bounds of everybody else. Right now, the Vikings are in first place in the division due to their tie. They're kind of saving their butts right now. But they still have to go on a bye, so that'll be this week. The Bears the Bears are done with their bye. The Bears already had their bye. Green Bay's 3-3-1. Chicago's 4-3, 5-3?
4-3.
4-3. So they have to, and Green Bay's 3-3-1. I feel like they do get a wild card because I feel like if you look at the Eagles division, Eagles, Cowboys, Redskins, Giants are out of it. You're done. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're 1-6. Bye. See you later. They're mathematically eliminated.
No chance.
Cardinals,
gotta tank.
Bye. 49ers, bye.
Yep.
I mean, the Seahawks and the Rams are contending in there. Mm-hmm. The Saints and Panthers are contending in the South.
Falcons still have a chance, but they've had some issues. Yeah.
They've had some issues, and I think they're probably going to lose this week. I don't know who they play, but I do see the NFC North getting a wild card team. I think Chicago fades toward the end. Mm-hmm. I think Detroit, bye. I don't think they have a chance. I think they're done. I think we both can agree. Detroit,
absolutely.
Bye.
Detroit's gone. Yeah.
So that comes down to the Saints, Panthers, Packers, Vikings. Chicago. I mean, you got to throw Chicago in there because they're still up there.
Yep.
Rams, Seahawks, Eagles, and Cowboys. Mm-hmm. That's 9 teams for 6 spots. Mm-hmm. Out of those 9 teams, who are the 3 that fade down the stretch?
Man, it's tough. Did you say the Bears were in there?
Bears were in there.
Man, I want to say the Bears because yesterday kind of showed me that they weren't able to really capitalize against the Jets. So I'm now less high on them than I have been in the past. So I want to say that the Bears will fade as compared to, say, Seattle. Because, I mean, Russell Wilson, you've got a quarterback who has been around the block. But also, I mean, it's tough. I want to say that the 2 wild card teams are going to be the team that loses out between the Packers and Vikings, which we might be able to touch on later.
We might be able to get to that topic after Thanksgiving because they play Thanksgiving week.
Yeah. And then I want to say that the Panthers are going to be the other tap. Because the Panthers, just quickly to talk about, as someone who lightly follows the Panthers because I like their color scheme, they have surprised me. Speaking of Norv Turner, because he's their offensive coordinator now. And for some reason, that's been the solution. Their offense was terrible last year, and it's been manageable this year. Like, things are looking good. They've been able to utilize McCaffrey. They've been able to get the ball around DJ Moore, their first-round pick receiver, has been looking like they wanted him to look. I think the Panthers, despite the fact that they're going to blow some games, are a team to watch as a surprise because they fixed the problems they needed to fix last year, and they made the playoffs last year. It's just then they absolutely imploded. But I think the Panthers are interesting to watch because Cam Newton has fixed some of the problems he had in the past, and their offense has been looking surprisingly more dynamic than it has in the past.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you with that. But let's look ahead to this week.
Okay.
There's 2 big matchups on the table that I see that everybody's going to want to watch. Let's talk about the first one. Rams and Saints. That's an offensive showdown.
Oh, yeah.
Who's got the edge there? Saints are on a 6-game win streak after losing the first one to an embarrassing Tampa Bay team who was, by the way, we forgot about those guys.
Yeah, Fitzmagic's done.
Yeah. And then you got the Rams, who are on an 8-game win streak. So something's got to give.
Absolutely, and it's a tough one. But I think that it's probably going to be the Rams. They've just been so hot. And when you're going to say which defense is going to give, it's probably going to be the Saints defense that falls apart at some point. I mean, we saw the Vikings sort of abuse P.J. Williams. Any hole against that Rams offense is going to be exposed, and you're not going to be able to stop them. So, I mean, early I want to say that the Rams just look unstoppable this year in general. But that's going to be one of those games that you cannot make a prediction because both teams have been playing so well, and both are going to be major factors in the Super Bowl contention this year.
And for the second time ever, the 212s go head-to-head, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Granted, it's in Foxborough this time. Last time they won, Tom Brady had his epic meltdown on the sideline because Aaron Rodgers converted, or their running back converted. I don't remember. 26-21, Green Bay won in Lambeau, and it was a cold-weather game. Now both teams are healthy. Who wins this game? Green Bay, you got to admit, Green Bay's defense showed up to the Rams game.
I've liked what I've seen from Green Bay this year, just in terms of that their defense has gotten better and they've fixed some of the things they need to. But this is still the Patriots. I think one thing to look at is, did Sony Michel play?
No, he's out. No, he was ruled out for tonight.
He's ruled out for tonight. I think if he's back, that's going to change a whole bunch of things. And the fact that it's in Foxborough.
And Green Bay's run defense kind of bottled up early in the first half. So, I mean, does that play a factor? If they can bottle them up. I know it's going West Coast to East Coast. The farthest trip you can basically make in the NFL.
I think it's going to be a close game. We've seen the Patriots get tested against the Chiefs and the other teams that have really been solid this year. So I really do think it's going to be a toss-up, but I'm inching towards the Patriots being able to take this one.
I'm being from Green Bay. I'm always going to root for Green Bay to win. And I think they're going to win this game because they finally found a running game. Oh my gosh, you have Aaron Jones. He can actually run the football. Get back to your 2010 team and run the football. That's what they did. That's how they were successful. Sets up play action. Devontae Adams. I think Green Bay's just got too many playmakers now for the Patriots defense to stop them.
Well, 2 big games coming up. It's going to be an interesting week for football fans everywhere. And we'll be here back on either Monday or Tuesday. We'll see what happens. To talk about everything that's going on and probably be covering the NDSU basketball season as it happens as well. Thank you for watching this edition of X's and O's. I'm Jay Lennander.
And I'm Eric Bunnell.
And we'll see you next week.